I think we may have found one of the perfect day trip destinations from Budapest. A city with a historic old town, many colorful old Baroque buildings, and a maze of narrow streets. Welcome to Győr! And in this video we will show you why you definitely need to visit this gem of Hungary. Let's go! Today's destination is a city located in northwest Hungary, and it is easily reachable from Budapest by train in less than 1.5 hours. Now, many of you have been asking us in the comments, if you visited Budapest, what else is out there in Hungary? What are some of the best day trip destinations? We have covered quite a few places so far, but we've not been to Győr. And luckily, I believe that Győr has the adequate size for a day trip, because the inner town itself is not that huge. However, we are spending some time here because I want to basically visit every single street here in the old town and make as many nice photos as we can. But before we get there, I saw a small kiosk here where you can get some very interesting bread slices. Let's go and try that. So this is velős pirítós, which is basically a toasted bread and a very special part of the pig, because traditionally this is something we eat during the ritual of the pig slaughtering, where the families gather in the village to slaughter the pig and use all parts of it. This is made from pig brain. That's the agyvelő. It's a very special thing that's very rare to see anywhere, and here, as we're walking these streets, immediately this delicacy is available. So let's try it. Simple, a little sweet, but also fatty. It's just excellent. I would say that maybe if you've eaten like liver pate or something like that, it kind of feels like it, but it is very unique and interesting. Excellent. Now, Győr is one of the oldest cities here in Hungary. So old, in fact, that before the first king of Hungary, Saint Stephen, was crowned, there was a rebellion by none other than Koppány, who was a family member who opposed Saint Stephen to become the king of Hungary. And when that rebellion of Koppány was crushed by Saint Stephen and his allies, the body of Koppány was basically split into 4 pieces as a message to anybody who was thinking to do any new rebellion not to do it. And the 4 pieces were sent across Hungary, and Győr was one of the places where Koppány's body part was put on display to prevent these future rebellions. That's how old the settlements here were and how old Győr is. No wonder for many of us Hungarians, coming to Győr is a real joy because of all of these narrow streets and these colorful old buildings. But Győr is not just famous for this inner city. For many Hungarians, actually, it's famous for their handball team. The women's handball team is one of the most successful handball teams here in Hungary, not just in the Hungarian Championship, but they have won multiple times the European Champions League as well, which makes them not just one of the most successful Hungarian teams, but internationally also one of the most successful teams as well. Now, the stadium is quite far from the inner town, but if you plan to come here and perhaps want to catch a handball game, then I can highly recommend it, because handball is an amazing sport. The only thing is that thanks to their popularity, sometimes it's quite hard to get tickets there, but anyways, if you're interested, there's gonna be a link down in the description.
She'll definitely hop up on
Oh, okay.
See? Yeah, see? She's very friendly though, if you want to pet her. She's...
Oh my god! See,
So we know Győr's history goes really long way back, but why did this settlement came to be exactly at this spot? Well, the nickname of the city may tell us something about that, because the Hungarian nickname for Győr is a folyók városa, which then translates into English as the city of rivers, because right here there are 3 rivers that meet. We have the Rába, we have the Rábca, but we also have the Mosoni-Duna, which is a side branch of the larger Danube. And because here all of these rivers come together, this was an ideal spot for trade. A settlement was then brought to life here. Other villages and settlements from the neighboring area could easily come here, trade, which has led to the prosperity of Győr. But there's also another reason why Győr also became very famous and important, but that was in medieval times. We mentioned a lot on this channel that in Hungary's history there was an important period when part of Hungary was under Ottoman Empire occupation, and Győr itself was actually on the border between the Habsburg-ruled Hungary and the Ottoman-occupied Hungary. And Győr was actually on the way towards Vienna, and it withheld the armies of the Ottoman Empire many times. They couldn't take Győr, but once they did, they could only hold it for 4 years before the Habsburgs took it back. So even before that, it was an important fortress city. But once the Habsburgs took it back, they realized the importance of this place, Győr, so they have built one of the most advanced fortresses in Europe. You can still see some of the old walls that we have here, and that's when the real prosperity of Győr started to happen. But the fortress being state-of-the-art only lasted until about the beginning of the 19th century, when Napoleon and his French army were doing a conquest towards the east. And close by here there was actually a big battle, which the locals, the Habsburg Hungarian army, was devastated there, and Napoleon's army took Győr. Napoleon himself actually walked the streets of Győr, and he saw the fortress and saw that if this fortress gets back to the hands of Hungarians and Habsburgs, it could be a threat to his conquest, which we know in the end didn't lead anywhere, but nevertheless they basically destroyed most of the fortress. Now here on the shores of the river you can still see some of these old walls of the fortress. However, because this fortress was actually devastated, instead of then later on rebuilding it, the people have realized that the walls were holding back the city from further expanding. So instead of rebuilding it, they tore down most of the walls so that the inner town could spread. And the inner town that you can see here with all the nice Baroque buildings and those narrow streets actually come from that particular time. So in a way, the further prosperity of Győr was also thanks to Napoleon coming here, seeing it as a threat, and then further demoralizing and demolishing the fortress. As you explore the city of Győr, you will see the symbol of this city at many places, which is the vaskakas. That is the iron windcock. And I cannot believe on this channel's history we had to say that word, but here we are. The vaskakas is a weather device, but in medieval times this was part of a legend. When the Ottomans took over this city, the general thought that their army is superior and this fortress will never be taken back by the Habsburgs and the Hungarians. And he said that the only time when this can happen will be when the iron cock will crow in the morning, which of course cannot happen. However, according to legends, when the army of the Habsburgs and Hungarians came to Győr, over the night there was a brave soldier who basically climbed up the gate where there was the iron windcock, and during the morning time he used his trumpet to imitate the sound of a cock in the morning. And as the army went to check out who is crowing in the morning, they basically got so scared that the Hungarian and Habsburg army that they could retake the castle thanks to that brave soldier. Very nice and interesting legend. I don't think it ever happened, but there you go. The symbol of Győr is an iron windcock. I know we like to sometimes complain as a joke about all the stairs that sometimes we need to take, but it's always absolutely worth it. And like here at this tower, it was just awesome. The view of Győr, and we see so much more. But now we're gonna head over to the Basilica that's right next to it. Now, one thing to note about it is that while it's open from the morning, there is a period during the day when it closes. And right now it's actually closed, so we need to wait a couple of minutes because I think it's closed somewhere between noon and 2 o'clock. And it's about 5 minutes to 2, so we don't need to wait long. But we can also plan where we might go and eat afterwards. The inside of this cathedral is just spectacular, although maybe it's a little bit too much for me, but it is a true testament to the artistry that goes into some of these Catholic churches and basilicas. But the real reason why I definitely wanted to visit this particular cathedral here is because they have a true relic of Hungarian history. One of our most important kings, Szent László, who is one of my personal favorite kings because he was sort of like a knight king, the true old school medieval king who not only commanded his troops but also went into the fights, at least according to the legends. Inside there is a bust that was built in the 15th century. They took his remains and they placed a part of his skull inside that bust. And I was fascinated not just by, the stories of Saint László, but also how awesome that bust looked. And now, for the first time in my life, I saw it in person, which makes me really happy. Budapest is very famous for the artist Mihály Kolotko because he makes a lot of mini statues that you can find all across the city. And I was wondering if he has any statues here in Győr, and while I did not find any, I did find, however, another set of statues, not made by him, but that you can find here in these narrow stairs that lead back to the city center. Apparently, you can find the homes of small little elves. Another reason why it's absolutely important to look at every single street and find all the cute and small details. Knock, knock. Is anyone home? Finally, some Lángos. The prices here are actually really reasonable. It's 1,650 forints, which is basically unheard of in Budapest. But let's dig into it. By the way, there's a fun fact. In this street where we are, that reminded me that if you walk in the streets of Győr, always look up, not just because of the nice old Baroque buildings, but you can see these old signages which are reflecting about the shops that are under it. There are some really simple ones, some especially decorative ones, but it's really fun to see and find some of these old signages, a remnant of the old medieval times when shops used to say, "This is what I do this way." The city of Győr can be proud of many people who were either born here or lived here, and one of them is Jedlik Ágnes, who was a Benedictine monk. However, he was also very important from science perspective because he was an inventor, and one of the things that he invented throughout the city, sometimes you can find these kind of soda bottles, which are an essential part of Hungarian drinking habits because we need these to make our fröccs, where we basically mix carbonated water with wine. Now, Jedlik Ágnes invented a lot of important things, but he also invented the way how to store carbonated water, and he revolutionized carbonated water industry here in Hungary. So if you see one of these, think about a nice fröccs and also thank Jedlik Ágnes for it, who lived and taught here in Győr. Now that we're enjoying our second coffee of the day, it reminded me that there was something important I wanted to mention. We don't see a lot of foreign tourists here, and maybe because of that, some places will not be speaking English. Like for example, at the Lángos place, there was a group of Polish people who came, but the staff at the Lángos place wanted to explain to them that the Lángos was at that point out of stock and they had to wait for about 20 minutes, but there was a misconnect. There was a communication error then. And basically, what I always recommend is for people to always have their phones with them and to have something like a translator app. We use these things all the time, and we also bought our tickets coming here for the train over our phones, and we also use Google Maps to find places like this coffee shop, for example. So having a phone is essential, but using data can stack up on your roaming charges quite easily. But luckily, that's where Saily comes in. Saily offers easy and affordable eSIM solutions in over 200 destinations worldwide, which also includes Hungary. You just download the app, select the data plan you need, and when you travel and arrive, the data will be there and you can use it and get all the nice experiences like we are getting. And the best thing is that right now, there is a 15% discount if you use my code StuffedCabbage. Link is in the description, or you can also check out the QR code right here next to me. Thank you so much to Saily for sponsoring this video. And now, let's get back and explore more of these awesome narrow little streets.
Jó.
Now we have arrived to the Old Town Square, and here we have an example of true medieval advertising. Here we have a tree that has a lot of iron nails in it. Now in medieval times, people who were wandering around countries went to some places, and if they enjoyed that place and the products or the services, they have left a nail nearby in a tree. And in Vienna, there is a very old tree. All of it is covered in nails. You can find it somewhere close to the Stephansdom. And apparently, the person who owned this place here in medieval times, this used to be a spice shop. He thought that that's a brilliant idea. He basically put a tree here that was already covered in nails because he wanted to signal to people that he had so many customers, all of them were really happy with the services they got here. So this was basically an advertisement, a real marketing scheme in medieval times. Now, another part of Hungarian history that we reference a lot of times here on this channel is the revolution and war for independence in 1848-49. Now, while most of the important events started out in Pest, Győr was also very important because a lot of the people here were absolutely vocal about the fight for freedom and liberty of Hungary against the Habsburg oppression. And because of that, Győr also kind of has this nickname of the Hungarian Marseille, which references Marseille's importance in the French Revolution itself. So there we have another interesting nickname for this city. I think we have managed to go through all the little streets that we wanted today. And I think if you want to come here as a day trip, this is absolutely doable. You can come here in the morning and then leave back to Budapest in the evening. However, we are actually staying here overnight because there's another place we want to go and check out tomorrow. If you don't want to miss that video, then definitely make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. But anyways, there is still one more experience that I want to have, and that is to see the streets lit up during the evening. Now, of course, there is also food that we want to experience because apparently, yes, But apparently there is a local unique dish, which is a fish-based dish, and I love fish. I can't wait to experience that. But first, we're gonna enjoy these ice creams, and then we're gonna head back to the hotel. And now welcome to our room here at the Baroque Hotel Promenád, and one of the highlights and why I'm really happy that we chose this hotel is the location. We are in the center of the Old Town. When we look out at the window, we see the Old Town's streets, and even the entrance of this hotel is located in a small and narrow, cute street. And the room itself is nice, big and spacious. We have all the essentials. We have the TV facing the bed, and we also have a mini fridge. There's also a nice bathroom. But what about the breakfast? The breakfast itself is good. It's very simple. There isn't a huge variety, but all the essentials are available in the morning. Now, one other thing that's really important to highlight about this hotel is that this is an old building. There is no elevator inside. You need to walk upstairs if you want to get to your room. Thankfully, there are only 2 floors. We are currently on the top floor, the 2nd floor, and we don't mind taking the stairs. But if you have some mobility issues, then maybe this is something that you need to consider. In the end, we were really happy. I think the price is quite nice, especially because of the location that we have here. And in the end, if you want to come to Győr looking for a hotel, I can highly recommend this one for you. But now, let's head out and enjoy the nightlife of Győr. Now, we wanted to catch that wonderful sunset so much that I even completely forgot about talking about the regional specialty that they have here. We went to Matrós restaurant, and there they have the szigetközi ecetes hal, which is basically a pickled fish. The fried fish is pickled in a brine. That's the local specialty, and it was really nice. However, if you are not that into pickled food, then maybe it's not gonna be for you. It was definitely something really special, and I'm really happy that I could try it. But now, I'm also waiting for the lights to turn up and see Győr in the night. Now, Győr has definitely won us over during this day. It was a fantastic time that we had here, but before we close off, I just want to give a quick thanks to all of our lovely supporters, especially to our cabbage lovers. Thank you so much for all the support that you guys give. We cannot be doing what we are doing without of you. And if you want to become also a member of this lovely community, then maybe check out the join button that's here on our channel. Or if you just want to support us in a simple way, you can do so by clicking the like button and also leaving a friendly comment. But nevertheless, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, because we're gonna visit Pannonhalma, and definitely make sure to subscribe not to miss that video. Hope to see you guys in that one. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye!